Hi, I welcome you all in this unique initiative of YuktMind, wherein we are covering the newspaper in just 10 minutes. We'll be covering today's The Hindu newspaper. You can also download the PDF of these news from our Telegram channel, the link of which is given in the description below, or from our website www.yuktmind.com under Current Affairs tab. So let's get going. We'll be covering 8 news today, starting with caste census of Bihar, Mridangam Master Karai Kudi Mani, CCTV cameras, uh, unrest in Manipur, Washington Declaration, India and Russia's rupee settlement, and central bank digital currency. And the last will be SCO ministers meet. So the first news is Bihar High Court has put a stay on the currently ongoing Bihar caste survey. The Patna High Court ordered a stay on the caste-based survey being conducted by Bihar government till the final outcome of this the current case. Now, what were the concerns that were raised by the Patna High Court? The court raised concerns of data integrity and security, which has to be more elaborately addressed by the state. The court is of the opinion that state has no power to carry out a caste-based survey in the manner which it is fashioned now, which would amount to a census, thus impinging upon the legislative power of the Union Parliament. So, under Article 246 of Indian Constitution, there are three lists: one, two, and three. So, the first list is uh, exclusively reserved for Union government, and census is part of list one. So please tell me in the comments below which is the schedule associated with distribution of subjects between center and states. Now the second news is Mridangam master Karai Kudi Mani passed away. Karai Kudi R Mani, who dominated the Carnatic music world for more than half a century as a Mridangam player, died in Chennai on Thursday. So let us read about mridangam. The mridangam is a percussion instrument of ancient origin. It is the primary rhythmic accompaniment in a Carnatic music ensemble. In ancient Hindu culture, painting and mythology, the mridangam is often depicted as the instrument of choice for a number of deities including Ganesha and Nandi, who is a vehicle and follower of Shiva. So Nandi is said to have played the mridangam during Shiva's primordial Tandava dance. Please remember Tandava dance, which caused a divine rhythm to resound across the heavens. The mridangam is thus also known as Deva Vadyam or divine instrument. Over the years, mridangam evolved and was made from different kinds of wood for increased durability, and today its body is constructed from the wood of jackfruit tree. It is widely believed that the tabla, the mridangam's Hindustani musical counterpart, was first constructed by splitting a mridangam in half. So, with the development of mridangam came the tala system, tala which is associated with rhythm in Indian musical system. The earliest mention of mridangam in Tamil literature is found perhaps in the Sangam literature, where the instrument is known as Tannumai. So during the post Sangam period, as mentioned in the epic Silapadikaram, it formed a part of Antarakottu, a musical ensemble which performed at the beginning of dramatic performances and that would later develop into Bharatanatyam. The player of this instrument held the title Tannumai Arunthazohil Muttuvalan. Now we move on to our third news. It's about CCTV cameras, whether they protect us or do they invade our privacy. So there are concerns. The first one is they do not work properly. As per a CAG audit of 2018-19, which stated that only 55 to 68% cameras were working in Delhi. Now the other concern is about over reliance on these systems leads to false negatives and false positives. A false negative means that police have not been able to identify the criminal and he goes free. A false positive means that an innocent person is identified as the suspect. You can also quote an example wherein recently in Telangana, a wrong man was apprehended when authorities purportedly recognized him from security camera footage as a potential culprit in a chain snatching event. However, he was released but he died subsequently. So there is another concern of privacy and proper storing and handling of data. So according to Criminal Procedure Identification Act, fingerprints and handprints or any evidence can be kept for 75 years. So this is a long duration of time. So there is no law which regulates how the data is collected, processed, stored, and when it should be deleted or with whom it can be shared. Also, there is no specific law with regard to facial recognition or a standard operating procedure on how the police should use CCTV or facial recognition technology. Then there is concern of lack of oversight in India. The Criminal Procedure Identification Act allows police department to use new technologies, not just facial recognition but also fingerprints recognition, voice detection, etc. However, there is no oversight in India. However, there are cases such as in New York and London police departments, they have oversight committees. When there's a violation of civil rights, one can file a complaint against the police in these two cities. India does not have that as of now. Then there is concern of tampering of footage. Now, these days, technology has advanced so much that one can tamper with the proof. So there is no 100% sanctity of these footages. And now the final concern is lack of uniformity. Since law and order being a state subject, different state polices have adopted different methods. For example, Hyderabad invested in facial recognition, whereas Andhra Pradesh invested in iris recognition. Now, the fourth news is about unfortunate unrest in Manipur. The Manipur government on May 4, 2023, issued a shoot at sight order in extreme cases, and as escalating ethnic violence followed a tribal solidarity march in Manipur. Clashes broke out after a march was taken out by tribes against a decision to grant status to the majority Meitei community of Manipur. The clashes were basically triggered by the Manipur High Court's direction to the state to pursue a 10-year-old recommendation to grant scheduled tribe status to the non tribal Meitei community. So, what is Manipur's ethnic composition? Geography has a lot to do with Manipur's problem. The state is like a football stadium, wherein the Imphal Valley falls in the middle and it is surrounded by hills all around. Four highways, two of them lifelines for the state, are the valley's access points to the world beyond. The valley, which comprises about 10% of Manipur's landmass, is dominated by non tribal Maitai who accounted for more than 64% of the population of the state and yields 40 of the state's 60 MLAs. The hills, comprising 90% of the geographical area, are inhabited by more than 35% recognized tribes but send only 20 MLAs to the assembly. While a majority of the Meiteis are Hindu, followed by Muslims, the 33 recognized tribes in Manipur are broadly classified into any Naga tribe or any Kuki tribes, which are largely Christians. So, what is the Maitai argument? Hearing a petition by 8 people representing the Maitai tribe union, the Manipur High Court on April 19 directed the state government to submit within 4 weeks a 10-year-old recommendation to the Union Tribal Affairs Ministry for the inclusion of Maitai community in the ST list. The petitioner told the High Court that Maitais were recognized as a tribe before the merger of the state with the Union of India in 1949. So one can see this is an historic problem. The Maitai argued that the ST status is needed to preserve the community and save the ancestral land, tradition, culture, and language of the Maitais. They also said that the Maitais needed constitutional safeguard against outsiders, stating that the community has been kept away from the hills while the tribal people can buy land in the shrinking Imphal Valley. So why are the tribal groups against ST status for Maitais? Basically, it's about fight for resources and survival. The tribal groups say the Maitais have a demographic and political advantage besides being more advanced than them academically and in other aspects. They feel the scheduled tribe status to the Maitai would lead to the loss of job opportunities and allow them to acquire land in the hills and push the tribals out. Groups such as All India Tribal Students Union of Manipur point out that the language of Maitai people, which is included in the 8th schedule of Constitution of India, and many of them have access to benefit associated with scheduled caste, other backward classes, or EWS status. So, what led to the unrest? Pro government groups in Manipur claim some tribal groups, which have vested interests, are trying to scuttle the chief minister's crusade against drugs. The anti drug drive began with destroying poppy fields and the theory that illegal settlers from Myanmar, basically ethnically related to Kuki Zombie people of Manipur, are behind clearing forests and government lands to grow opium and cannabis. So this led to first violent protest on March 10, 2023, which was against the eviction of residents of a Kuki village. This made the state government of Manipur withdraw from the suspension of operations with two Koki extremist groups accused of inciting the protesters. However, the large scale arson and violence claiming the life of at least one person on May 3 and May 4 followed a tribal solidarity rally against the reported move to include the Maitais in the scheduled tribe list. Now we move on to our fifth news. It's about tackling the threat and the recent Washington Declaration. The background is North Korea is developing a lot of nuclear weapons. Recently, it has successfully launched Hwasong 8 solid fuel intercontinental ballistic missile, which is a vital component for nuclear weapons delivery. So there is growing nuclear threat to South Korea from North Korea. So to counter this, South Korea and USA have signed Washington Declaration, which says US strategic assets will be deployed around the Korean peninsula and a joint nuclear consultative group will share tactical information, engage in joint training and coordinate military responses to any potentially hostile actions by North Korea. The Washington Declaration reaffirmed the Non Proliferation Treaty, that is NPT, implying that South Korea would not venture into creation of its own independent nuclear capabilities. However, it would instead focus on deterrence measures through an alliance based approach. While USA will remain the sole authority deciding on whether or not to carry out a nuclear response in any such eventuality of North Korea using nuclear weapons. US tactical nuclear weapons were stationed in South Korea, which were withdrawn from the region in 1991. So, why is the United States not keen on South Korea having a nuclear arsenal? South Korea's nuclear development program, supported by former president, was hindered due to US pressure. In the 1990s, the US withdrew 100 nuclear weapons from South Korea as part of their strategic arms reduction treaty. The USA was hoping to make North Korea unarm itself. However, USA made an erroneous assumption that it would deter the weapons production of North Korea by extracting South Korea's nuclear capability. Now, USA has changed its approach. The Nuclear Posture Review 2022 reflects a shift in the US narrative, where it is now concerned about progressing nuclear capabilities of North Korea. The report states that North Korea creates deterrence dilemmas for US and its allies and partners. That a crisis or conflict on the Korean peninsula could involve a number of nuclear armed actors, raising the risk of broader conflict. Basically, a third world war can be started. And finally, the US wants to control global nuclear arms production. It has been reluctant to allow South Korea to develop their own nuclear arsenal as it would hinder the prolonged efforts of controlling nuclear production in the world. The assurances that US and its nuclear weapons would protect its allies by being responsible for maintaining stability in the region aligns with the larger goal of NPT. Now we move on to the sixth news. Reportedly, India and Russia have said to suspend talks to settle trade in rupees. The basic background is negotiations with Russia on a rupee trade settlement mechanism has been suspended after months of talks. This would be a major setback for Indian importers of cheap oil and coal from Russia, who were awaiting a rupee payment mechanism to help lower currency conversion costs. So, what was the problem Russia facing? With a high trade gap in favor of Russia, Russia believes it will end up with an annual rupee surplus of over $40 billion. If such a mechanism is worked out and feels rupee accumulation is not desirable for Russia. Why? The rupee is not truly convertible and India's share of global exports of good is just 2%. This means that it reduces the necessity for other countries to hold rupees. Now, seventh news is about central bank digital currencies that they can ease cross border payments. So, according to RBI Deputy Governor T. Ravi Shankar, CBDCs could bring about a substantive change in the sphere of cross border payments. So, what is CBDC? Central bank digital currencies are a form of digital currency issued by a country's central bank. They are similar to cryptocurrencies, except that their value is fixed by the central bank and equivalent to the country's fiat currency, which is rupees in India's case. So, India has also experimented with CBDC. India launched two CBDC pilots last year in 2022. The first, a wholesale CBDC effort called CBDCW, began on November 1st with participation of 9 banks. The second, a retail CBDC pilot launched on December 1st in four cities, that is Mumbai, New Delhi, Bangalore, and Bhubaneswar. It initially involved four banks. Now we move on to our final news. SCO ministers meet will happen today. It will discuss economic ties. While traditionally security and terrorism used to dominate Shanghai Cooperation Organization's agenda, but during its presidency, India is bringing on the table issues of economic and cultural cooperation between the members as well. India is able to play such a versatile role as a member of different groupings such as Quad, which includes four nations: USA, India, Japan, Australia, G20, BRICS, and IBSA, which is India, Brazil, South Africa, and finally the SCO. This shows that India's role is appreciated and India is seen as a balancing force. You can write the last two sentences as way forward in your IR answers in your mains paper. Thank you for watching this video. You can download the PDF of these news from our website www.yuktmind.com. Thank you.